We still have a little bit of blur when it comes to determining where ISIS, which is the name of the Islamic State, which is an organization that is acting in both Iraq and Syria, comes from. What we know, what we are sure of, is that ideologically they are kind of connected to this very well-known organization, which is Al-Qaeda, which was led by Osama bin Laden formerly. But they don't come, or they're not connected, they don't have an alliance with this same Al-Qaeda organization, meaning ISIS, or the Islamic State, acts on its own. When it comes to the funds, there is also a lot of wondering about where the money that ISIS has comes from, but basically what we seem to be sure of is that there are a lot of private funders that believe in the ideology that is defended by the Islamic State, which is just spreading a caliphate, an Islamic caliphate, and going over or beyond the borders that exist today. All these people are just giving funds for ISIS because they believe that such a project has to be consolidated. As for the rest, the doubt that we have is when it comes to talking about the implication of concrete governments and states in the funding. There is a direct impact of the Islamic State in both Syria and Iraq, because we can see that the cells of this organization are very active in both these countries, or in some parts of these two countries. As for the rest, there is no doubt that in Lebanon, as well as in a lot of Gulf states, there are people that will be receptive, that will be keen on defending what the Islamic State is doing, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that the Islamic State has an outreach in all of these countries. Basically, everything concentrates, as for now, in Syria and Iraq. Seen so far is that the international US-led coalition has decided to treat the Islamic State phenomenon from a military point of view. But at the same time, we've seen that the United States has stated at the end of the day that the military intervention or the military targeting was part of the solution, but it couldn't be a full solution, and it won't allow the coalition to get rid of the Islamic State phenomenon. This is how we are now in a tricky situation, because we know that the cells have to be targeted and destroyed, and this is what the US, as well as France, for example, or UK or other members of the coalition are doing. But at the same time, can we develop a dialogue with the Islamic State? It is doubtful, though there is an interesting case that we must mention, which is the fact that Qatar, for example, is negotiating with the Islamic State the case of some hostages that are being held in Lebanon by both the Islamic State and another organization called Jabhat al-Nusra. The inaction towards the Syrian file, or the awkward action towards the Syrian file since the start of the Arab uprisings in 2011, has a part of responsibility. Also, the contribution of some neighboring countries, such as Turkey, when it comes to allowing foreign warriors to cross the border with Syria and to end up fighting in Syria, is also part of the responsibility. Not to forget also the fact that the absence of real monitoring of the different members or different individuals that go and join the Islamists in both Syria and Iraq also has a responsibility, because at the end of the day, governments are able to track down on a maximum of perspectives from both financial and individual perspectives, but I'm not sure they did it the way they had to do it. It is difficult to determine the scenarios of the future when it comes to the Islamic State and its positioning in the region. What we can be sure of is that the war against the Islamic State will be long, which is something confirmed by Arab states, some Arab states, as well as some Western states, such as the US or the UK. So if we want to bring good solutions anyway and to impede the spreading of the Islamic State on a larger scale, I think that the unavoidable way to do it is just to favor the policies of development and the policies that will allow the public opinions of the region to have more perspectives, to believe in better socio-economic conditions, and also to be able to look at a long-term horizon by saying we know that we can reach something that will allow us to feel we have more dignity and will allow us also to live without lacking anything. As long as we put this aside, we will just give more room for the Islamic State to take the people that are frustrated and disappointed and to tell them your future is with us.